So I figured the best way to actually answer your question, guys, is to just show you on the charts why I took such an aggressive play on that ETH long. Now I use 100x leverage on only ever on a Ethereum or Bitcoin because essentially it allows you to capture the move in a greater capacity because essentially they are higher numbers. So in other words, Ethereum is at 3,000 and Bitcoin's at 56,000. So um, and again, I'm a very skilled trader, so I use that because I can sort of capture the scalp, which this was a very scalp. As you can see, the green arrow and then the red arrow up here was a very much a scalp trade, rather than a swing trade. And I'll talk about the difference in a minute. But essentially, a scalp trade is on a lower time frame where you are literally scalping from the bottom of a potential range, or essentially we got in about here, as you can see, and then cut at the top of this range here. And it's very similar to swing trading on a higher range. It's just you're doing it on a lower frame. So in other words, here we've got a lower time frame range, which is from that low to the top there, which is 9% move. So if I'm using 100x leverage, that's a potential 900%. However, if you're only using 10x leverage, that's only 90%. So it's a lot more risky, obviously, but essentially why I took this trade is why I'll show you in a second. But what I saw essentially was across the board, we saw a double bottom. So clearly here, as I've drawn with my W here, there was a massive double bottom shift here. We then also broke this little short time frame zone there. And this is essentially, I saw this pump. So I saw this double bottom down the bottom. So one there and one there. And this is on the 1 hour chart. And so, whilst we might be still in a macro bear trend, you can still take a long in the shorter time frame sense. So we're on the hour here, whereas if I did zoom out, and I'll show you that shortly, on the 4 hour, the daily, we're likely in a more macro trend, maybe to retest these levels down here at 2.8k. But I saw this sort of this strength here. Okay, we saw volume even down the bottom. You can see a bit of a volume spike here. Okay, and that's essentially where we caught it. It also was based on Van Eck releasing some news about actual filings for an ETF or something as well. I saw on Twitter, so that was another catalyst. That is a fundamental reason why I took a quick scalp trade, and that's why essentially I said it in the group as a scalp, because a scalp is literally you're taking this move. It could be, as you can see here, within a sort of hour of a time frame, or it could even be 15 minutes, or it can be a couple hours. So whilst I did have higher time frame zones set, what was my reason for taking profit up here was that we didn't actually break this high up here. So technically this is still a small time range on the hourly, right? So going back to why I took the trade, so we saw this massive double bottom, guys. I obviously had the fundamental news backing as well that I saw on Twitter, and why I aggressively made it 100x is because I caught this move of 6%, and obviously it was a little bit less, obviously, for me, because I think I caught it maybe halfway through this pump here. This candle, this big green one here, and then cut up the top. So I didn't get that 6% move, but I still managed to get a 2 to 3% move on that potential trade. And again, to capture that scalp, you needed to do higher leverage. But again, what I'm going to stress in the group is that you don't go higher leverage until you know what you're doing and until you can read the charts yourselves, right? But this is why I'm giving you a video, so that you can understand where I'm coming from and my thesis and essentially my setup. So if you can envision, I might try and draw it for you, but so we got a top of the range there. And so if we flipped this level here, so this level at, 3,080, if we flip that, guys, then essentially we've seen probably a potential reversal here on the hourly, which means in theory that on a higher time frame, we could have actually, and look at the W there, guys. This is what I mean by that W. So if I was at the charts a little bit earlier, we could have definitely longed down here and had an even greater move back up to the top of the range there. So that's what I mean by a scalp trade. A swing trade is obviously on a higher time frame, usually 4 hours minimum, but then a daily, even a weekly, you can swing trade as well. But what we saw here is that we saw a massive double bottom, so I was quickly in, and then I wanted, and this was my first TP at the 3,080 mark because that was the top of the range. We literally hit that. If we did manage to hold that up here, close above it, and then move up like this, then ideally we caught along of the lower time frames, and then potentially it would have meant that we were heading back up here in a sort of bullish way, whereas we are still massively in a downtrend. So that's why you can still have, like, I still have my, I think it's down here, guys. So no, that's my order history. So I don't have position, sorry, other platform. Essentially, I still have my shorts open on Ethereum and on Solana because they're in a macro bear trend. Whereas here, obviously, we saw a quick bullish reversal, which is why I quickly took the MOG and the Ethereum trades. But obviously, we didn't see them reverse above this sort of range here. So if we saw them close, so if we saw Ethereum get up to those levels before, let me just zoom in a little bit so you can see, like I've drawn here in the light blue color, you saw it change up here, flip that as support, and then move back up here, then ideally you've kind of changed the trend. Like, yeah, literally the trend is still there, the same trend there. So we broke it, and now we're trying to retest it and hold it here. So in theory, potentially we could see this potentially move up here towards the 1.68 sort of extension of this little zone. So let me just draw that fib retracement for you so you understand what that is as well. But that's just from this zone here. So let me just clean it up so it makes it nice and easy for you guys to see. But that's from the low. So we go from the second low here because that's the high bottom from the top of the previous high. So this is the latest high in this new little area and down to the bottom there. So 1 was obviously my first target because we managed to get in about here at the breakout. And then obviously my second target was up here at the 3227 sort of area. And then obviously up here a little bit higher, which was actual macro support. As you can see, bang, 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 bang there multiple times. So that would have been a higher time frame sort of target as well for this potential long. And I don't like, in theory, guys, you would still be up. Oh no, you wouldn't be up. It's at 2.9. So you wouldn't be up in this trade because I think we got in at about 3,000 ish. Okay, so we caught this big candle quickly, but in theory, like, you would love to time the double bottom here and capture that move there first. But obviously a scalp, we got in a little bit later. And as I explained, I use 100x to capture this move because I knew it would be a quick move. And if I managed to capture a reversal on a higher time frame, then it would have been an insane move. So that's what the difference is. Whereas a swing trade, guys, if I think I might have to open trading view. But if we look at a swing trade, look how many trades I've opened, shorts and longs. But essentially, the swing trade is that chart that I've been showing you. This is why I use trading view. Hold on, I'll pull that up just to show you. So this is total right now, actually. So it's still bearish. We've got a few bearish closes there on the daily. So I'm not seeing a reversal anytime soon. So if we go to Bitcoin, and this is what I'm talking about here, right? So this is a macro trend, okay? So this is on the daily, which is obviously very similar to the weekly, and we have broken that macro level bottom. So this is a swing trade. So essentially, I'm looking for a swing to happen over days, over weeks, whereas a scalp is usually over hours. It could even be like 15-minute candles, that sort of thing. So that's the significant difference. So if you ever see me say swing, generally a higher time frame trade. If you see me say scalp, it generally means it's a lower time frame trade. But as you can see here, I'm still targeting lower for Bitcoin. However, if we do hold this range here, so if we don't break below this previous candle here, now really interestingly, this candle right now is indecisive. So if you ever see a candle like this, I can't remember, I think they call it the spinning top. It's where price is really undecided about the direction. Okay, so this one here. And so in theory, we sometimes do see a reversal from these types of candles. So I'm watching with a lot of interest over the next day to see if we actually close this candle in the coming sort of probably 12-hour period. If we close it like this, then potentially we could have already seen these two wicks down to this level. So obviously down here at 53, and then this one here at 54 or 55, they could have been the higher lows that we're looking at. And again, just to have a look at expansion, so of volatility, this is probably better on a higher time frame, but let me just clean it up. I've got a lot on my chart. And then we'll look at CCI. So essentially CCI is just showing me whether we have divergences. So divergences, bullish or bearish. Really simple way of trading is essentially price action, lows and highs, and then also RSI, lows and highs. And I signed up for Crown's course recently, and I'm still trying to complete it, just again to upskill myself to make sure that I'm using all the best trading strategies that I can. So volatility is expanding. So this move on the daily has probably maybe played out soon. We still could potentially go up here. As you can see, we had multiple red days of volatility, so it could in theory go higher, and obviously RSI is still coming down. So on the daily, it's showing maybe there is potential for a reversal soon. Alternatively, on the weekly, this is why I am still in more of a bear camp, guys. Like, and again, though, we're seeing that spinning top candle even more so on the weekly. Like, look at that for a candle. But obviously, it's only just started as a week, so it likely plays out either up or down from here. But as you can see, volatility is still low. It is starting to push up above that 20% percentile, probably in the coming days, which is maybe in the coming week. Obviously, this is a week chart, so we won't know until next week. And RSI and stochastic momentum is coming down. So there's still a lot of pressure from higher time frames to come down. So that's why I'm swing trading the bottom of this range at 60K for my short, all the way down to these sort of targets here on a higher time frame. But obviously, as I just said, on the daily, if we start to see momentum change, which could in theory change here like we do, yeah, we're at the lower capacity lens here, so we could make a move back up here. The level I would like to see is obviously 58.2. If we can close a daily candle above 58.2, I become a lot more bullish. And then obviously if we can close a daily candle sort of back in that 60K region, even up here, guys, we've got a lot of wicks up there at 60.7, so, or about 60.5. Yeah, so if you can close the first candle at 58.3, and then obviously probably let's go 60.5 or higher, that's when I flip macro bullish again, guys. But that's just a bit of analysis. So obviously, and I'll show you here, I've still got my short, so in this BTC short and then the Solana short, just to show you the Solana short. So you can see that there's a significant downtrend, okay? And this is why macro, I'm still short and still bearish. But in a short time frame, as you can see here on Solana, it also had that double bottom, okay? We saw the massive double bottom there. So you can still trade within a zone, within lower time frame zones. So this is obviously on the daily. If we zoom in a little bit further, so we saw that was on the daily. We had a couple of double bottoms there. So you could have definitely looked along those, which Sexy and a few others did. But as you can see here, we saw higher low as well. On the daily, this is the 4-hour chart, sorry. So this is again why you could have longed it. So as you can see here, higher low, but obviously we're still in that macro bear trend. So until we see maybe a shift here, so as I can see, this is why I still have my shorts open, because anything above 145 for Solana is probably where I start to flip more bullish. But obviously we still have my shorts up to here. I think it was like 144 or 143. I think I had my orders set. So I caught a couple of them. As you can see, open short. I still have another open short ready to go at this zone. And obviously I'm looking now for what happens first, whether we make a lower low. So in other words, price comes down here and makes a lower low there. Okay, so if we break lower low, then that short is perfect. And we definitely head towards that sort of 115 range, 108 range for Solana. If we make another higher low, so in other words, we probably follow price like this, and maybe price does this instead, comes down in the coming days and then sweeps here. I might cut a bit, obviously, because it's showing more strength, and then potentially we could see a breakout here like that, or we could obviously get rejected from the top there and then likely continue lower as well. But obviously the short I would probably keep open because my stop loss is up here. Okay, so my stop loss is at this previous high at about 140, I think it is, at the moment. So that's essentially just sort of insight into how I trade. So this is obviously more of a swing trade, guys, and that scalp that I showed you on ETH earlier is more of a shorter time frame trade. So let me know if you have any questions. I'll probably tag everyone in this to just answer a few of these questions. I think it was in the late, yeah. So Dr. Evil, thanks for asking. And these guys down below as well. I'll tag you in it, but obviously I'll tag everyone in it so that everyone can get a bit of insight into how I essentially have been trading those. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions.